And a fantastic week 17 to the Fantasy Flyer followers. Welcome to episode 33. My name is Eric. It's almost midnight on Friday.
Burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, man. You're going to see me fall asleep over here. I'm just going to be like,
I had a lot of coffee, ice cream, glass of wine. I think I should be good.
okay. He's feeling it. He's feeling it. He is saucing. He's in the zone. Someone get this. Yeah, he's got water though. That wine is too much. That's Taylor. We're here. I'm a little drained. It's been a little bit of a longer day, but it was well worth it. It was a good day. It wasn't a bad day, just a long day. And we are here to fulfill our football duty. We made it through 16 weeks. I'm not giving up on 17. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Few important playoff matches, probably both on the fantasy field and the real field.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely on the real field. We know that. Patriots and Dolphins, and the Buccaneers and Panthers, the Lions and the Seahawks are trying to pretend like they're not out of it. Giants are trying to secure. I think they have to secure their spot. No, did they secure their spot? I looked at it. I was watching the Cowboys Titans game last night, and they showed the graphic like 13 times because that's all they could talk about, and that's fair. But I didn't even pay attention all that well to whether the Giants were in. I was like, yeah, get it off the screen. Let's go back.
They are not in, but I think if they win, they would be in.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't think there's like any.
They're 8-6-1, and the Commanders are 7-7-1, and the Commanders still can find a way in this week. So that's interesting. As usual, we'll start off our episodes with the 9, the news, injury notes, etc. Taylor is the guru of the 9 from the traveling dojo, Mr. Gojo Dojo.
I won't ever try to say that again because it basically just turned into the Jojo.
Mojo Jojo.
Kicking it off with Arizona, we had said that Colt McCoy was going to start. He was out of the concussion protocols, but it appears that he is dealing with symptoms again, as we've mentioned many times with concussions, not non-linear. You could get out of the protocols and then things could happen again. And so he is unfortunately out, and they are planning to start David Blau. Does not give me a lot of confidence in much of anything on the team besides probably James Conner. To that end, DeAndre Hopkins with a knee injury is questionable. He left Friday's practice early enough to be labeled as a did not participate or did not practice. So that's also not great. I honestly don't remember and didn't really look up much about David Blau to know too much about what he favors, etc. But as with most second, third string quarterbacks filling in, you're looking at dump off options. So maybe Dortch gets another decent game here, but
wrong.
Hey, there we go. Okay. It wasn't working. I hit 2 different buttons. I was very sad. Sorry. Go ahead.
So wait, am I wrong?
No,
Do
you
you have
were
anything
right.
to add there? Okay.
You said when earlier with Colt McCoy, we said Colt McCoy would start, and instead it's David Blau. And when that happened, I hit the button, and you didn't react, and so I was literally so disappointed over here.
Yeah.
I was like, well, gotta fix this. Yeah. Lesson number 1:
It's working.
if you want to run your podcast and you want to have it be successful, double check your cords. Make sure they're plugged into the right spot. Continue.
Moving on to Baltimore, Lamar Jackson is officially out. Huntley expected to start again. Buffalo, Dawson Knox, hip injury, questionable, limited Thursday and Friday. I don't know. Keep an eye on that. I didn't really read too much into it, but he's been playing well lately, sort of taking over as the secondary receiving option, if you will.
Well, yeah, because Stephon Diggs forgot how to play. Not really. That's being super critical. I'm cranky. Leave me alone. He's he's had 3 bad games, and I don't know if it just took 13 weeks for people to heat up and realize, hey, this guy can go for 100 yards. But he has had, I think, like 9, 6, and 3 or something like this. But
yeah, so like to see him in there, but keep an eye on that, especially since it's the Monday game, which makes it makes it tough. You
at
gotta,
a crapshoot position.
yeah,
for
yeah, exactly.
Dawson.
So, yeah, you either chance it or just go with the safer play, basically someone who's actually going to be in there for sure. Chicago, Chase Claypool, Dante Pettis, both questionable. Again, didn't read too much into those guys, but Equinemius St. Brown is back. Byron Pringle is there. If either of these guys were out, Velus Jones might step in. Actually, I guess both these guys would have to be out for that to really play out. And I bring this all up because they actually have it. I mean, they're playing the Lions, so they may. One of these guys will
Anything's on
have
the
a good
table.
game. Yeah,
Anything is on the table. You can
right.
get both teams could score 60. The Lions could score 45, and the Bears could score 4.
Yeah.
4. That's right. I said 4. Or it could be the other way around. Like nobody knows. The Lions are a different team every week at this point.
Right. It is a home game, so Goff has been pretty well at home, played pretty well at home. Cincinnati, Hayden Hurst not on the injury report, so he should be gearing up and ready to go after like 2-3 weeks of not playing. 2 weeks, I think. Yeah. So Irwin, sorry, yeah.
The
Denver.
updates to Hayden Hurst 98. Sorry.
No, you're good. Just kind of in and out a little bit.
Perfect.
Denver. So senior assistant Jerry Roseberg has been promoted to the interim head coach position. He's already fired the special teams coordinator and the offensive line coach. Offensive line, I guess, sort of makes sense. Special teams, a little odd since, I mean, I guess that's not necessarily correlated with, no, it's not correlated with the defense at all, but obviously there's some players that overlap there. I don't know, a little odd, but making some moves, taking things seriously, good for him. He's also standing up for Russ, calling the criticism BS. So maybe we'll see some good things. I don't know. It's week 17. They're out of it. What does it really matter? Yeah. And they have a plethora of questionable guys. Kendall Hinton, hamstring, been out the past 2 weeks, hoping to return. Nobody's really given any sort of like, yeah, we're optimistic or anything like that. Jerry Jeudy, ankle injury, was limited all week. I believe this injury, don't quote me on it. I think it happened during practice, but I'm not 100% sure. But Roseberg said he fully expects him to play. Granted, we don't know much about this guy, and we don't know how serious to take that. So keep an eye on Jeudy. But Sutton not on the injury report. Unfortunately, Greg Dulcich is headed to the IR. So if Judy's in there, he should have a decent game. Sutton should have a decent game. If Judy's out, holy crap, I would definitely consider Sutton. I mean, if you made it this far, I don't know how much you trust Russell Wilson. Hopefully you have other options, but Sutton could be a good play. Detroit, not a notable name, but I mentioned this because it helps the other running backs. Justin Jackson, who has been eating into the other guys' snap percentages. Jackson's been playing around 30%. I don't know how many weeks, but a handful of weeks. He is questionable, limited participant at the end of the week, which kind of suggests that he was injured at some point Thursday or Friday. So Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift should hopefully get an increase in snaps if he is out. Jamal obviously kind of struggling as of late. Hopefully that helps him out. Swift also struggling, kind of a every other game guy, but still involved in the passing game. So probably the safer floor and higher ceiling. Green Bay, Christian Watson, hip injury, questionable, return to practice Friday as a limited participant. So that's trending in the right direction. Houston, Dare Agumbawale, I meant to look up the snap percentages. He has a knee injury and is questionable, was shown as a limited on the Thursday report. I wasn't able to find, or I didn't look too deep into the Friday report. Obviously, not obviously, not someone that most people really care about, but I brought it up because it may lead to more snap percentage and usage for someone like Royce Freeman, who was kind of the 1-2 down back guy there. Indianapolis, reminder, Nick Foles starting. Did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say I had the snap percentages. Darren Ogunbogun, 28% last week. Week 15, he had 43%. Royce Freeman, 55 last week, 38 week 15. So Freeman's on an uptick.
Yeah.
I imagine with him gone, I mean, you might get a couple more to Rex Burkhead, who had 16% last week, but I think see Freeman in the 65 to 70 range.
Yeah, especially since he's getting more acclimated with the team and on the uptick with snap percentages. So may have been approaching that anyways. Indianapolis, yeah, as I mentioned, reminder Nick Foles is starting, and Kylan Granson, Ashton Doolin are both out. The former someone that was more involved, so you may see an uptick for Jelani Woods. I mean, he was more involved last week, so not that I'm too thrilled with anybody. Jacksonville, I don't know that anything really changed here, but just mentioning it for people's awareness, keep an eye on him. He's questionable again, but it looks like it's the same as previous weeks. It's just his toe injury, and he's been playing well. So there against Houston, good matchup for him. Well, I shouldn't say that. Not a bad matchup, not a great matchup. They've actually been staying in games and playing decent defense. Kansas City, Mecole Hardman. I had mentioned that Andy Reid thought he might be ready to go. He will not be playing Sunday. Las Vegas, reminder that they are benching Carr. Supposedly other vets may take a step back and they are evaluating the youth on the team.
I'm really rich.
Yeah. Jarrett Stidham being the guy that's going to start at QB. I'd like to see Zamir White get some opportunities. He is also questionable, but I don't really know how much of this I want with Stidham.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more later.
Spoiler alert, I agree.
The Rams, Higbee with an elbow injury is questionable, was limited Thursday. Didn't dig into it too much to see what Friday said, but it's the Rams. You know, we'll talk about that more, but not thrilled either with them. Miami, as we mentioned, Tua with a concussion. We expected him to be out. He is officially out, and Bridgewater is expected to play. New England, Devontae Parker, Jonnu Smith, both out with concussions. Ramondre Stevenson, ankle. Hunter Henry, knee. Tyquan Thornton, knee. All questionable. We've seen Ramondre playing through this the past 2 weeks, so nothing really changed there. Henry and Tyquan limited all week. Keep an eye on them if you have either of them. I mean, with Parker out, Tyquan to sort of get more usage. With Smith out, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, who was already sort of more of the touchdown red zone guy, getting more catches in general, like that should be a huge bump for him. Hopefully he plays, and I would definitely consider him DFS wise. Damian Harris, Jacoby Myers not on the injury report, so that's good news there. New Orleans, Chris Olave hamstring, limited all week, questionable. Dwayne Washington still out with migraine issues. So David Johnson, kind of the backup, but he hasn't really seen too much. Kamara should get a good amount of usage, as we saw after the bye. He's been playing decently. New York Jets, reminder, well, I guess we weren't really sure because he was still considered questionable, but Mike White not on the injury report, so he should be starting. I don't see why he wouldn't. Was cleared by doctors, as we stated the previous show, so that should be a huge uptick for the team overall. Somebody who is filling in for other wide receivers, Jeff Smith, is out with a knee injury. No other wide receivers were on the injury report, so fire up Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, maybe Corey Davis, and probably Tyler Conklin. Honestly, that is the bright spot for the Seattle defense, but I don't expect it to be something that's going to hold this team back with the amount of throws that Mike White has. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts with his shoulder injury is doubtful. He did not, we mentioned this before, did not participate Wednesday's walkthrough, was limited Thursday and Friday. It seems very unlikely that he'll play. San Francisco, we had mentioned Deebo Samuel potentially having the possibility of playing. He did practice in limited capacity, but he is officially out. Seattle, Tyler Lockett with a hand injury is questionable, but he participated Wednesday, as we stated, was limited Thursday and full participant Friday. And I don't know if this was an actual quote, but it looks like he is likely to play. So that's good news there. And especially because Marquise Goodwin is doubtful and did not participate the whole week. Kenneth Walker, ankle injury, is questionable, did not participate Wednesday, was limited Thursday and Friday, expected to play. And then a reminder, Will Dissly on IR, so a bump for Noah Fant. Tampa Bay, Julio Jones, same knee injury, questionable again. He did play last week, but it was only 24% of snaps, and we saw Russell Gage get a big bump and actually be flex worthy. Washington, reminder, Carson Wentz is starting. And then unfortunately, Antonio Gibbs. Wow, I wrote Antonio Gibbs. Antonio Gibson is out. So bump up for Brian Robinson. That is it for the 9.
A healthy 9. It is
Healthy
a healthy one indeed. I'm getting myself situated because today, like I said, I literally wrote, for those of you who don't know, which is literally everyone but Taylor, I wrote the first 3 quarters, maybe 2/3 to 3/4 of this show plan from 9:30 a.m. today until through work. And then I went to a family get together and I haven't been able to look at it as much. So reacquainting myself, but a lot of news, a lot of injuries, a lot of fun things. I found out some things while you were just reading the 9 that is really interesting, and we'll talk about them. But let's review slightly the Thursday night football game that was the Cowboys and the Titans. The spread on this game was 14 points going in, and the Cowboys won by 14. So I don't quite understand everyone who is, and the over-under was 40. So I don't quite understand what everybody was expecting. I heard saw a lot of comments. Oh, they barely beat the Titans. I don't know about that.
They must not have watched the fourth quarter.
I think that's exactly what Las Vegas predicted. I think that's exactly, over under was 40, 27-13, and the Cowboys had a 14-point. Was Vegas wrong? No, they weren't. Yeah, the fourth quarter was well, let's say juicy. That was the game was closer because Dak kept turning the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dak turned the ball over 3 times, and they still won by 2 touchdowns. I mean, let's pick up the entirety of this game talking about Tennessee, because Tennessee moves a lot better. They look a lot better with Josh Jobs.
They did, yeah.
Josh Jobs.
Josh Jobs got the jobs.
Right. He got the jabs. They took her jab. He is Steve's cousin working for Apple. Yeah, Josh Jobs he had 2 more yards than Dak did at halftime.
Oh, I didn't look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was like, wow, good for you. That's nice. I mean, like, you were helped because Dak had no touchdowns and 2 interceptions at that point. But I was like, interesting. Way to go. You are a better passing quarterback than Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Seems that way for right now. The second half is where Dobbs had the touchdown in the second half. It was they had 6 points in the first half and only scored the touchdown in the second, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm accurate on that.
Yeah.
But Dallas's defense was a lot better in the second half. They actually got a couple sacks, which is good because they hadn't done that in a while. But despite all that, Dobbs moved around the pocket. Robert Woods had he had 39 yards, I think. something around that line. Treylon Burks had 100. Was right at 100. No, 66. Why did I think
66.
Why
He
did I think
had
9? Oh, you know why? Because that's
20.
CD Lamb.
Oh, okay.
CD
But
Lamb at
he
100.
did have 20 rushing yards, so that puts him at 86 overall, all
That's
purpose.
not what I was thinking. I was picking the wrong person who I spotted earlier.
Oh, yeah. That actually got CD to 1,000 yards in the season,
That's all
or
time.
or like consecutive 100-yard games, or not consecutive, but a certain amount of
Well,
100-yard games.
it is. I think it is consecutive. I think he has
Okay.
3 in a row. But I mean, Dak and on the Dallas side, Dak and CD have really good chemistry. Like you could see it. They are finally gelling the way that they should. CD was 10 for 11 last week, I think, and this week he was 11 for 14 with Dak.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good completion percentage from a quarterback. Like I said, the only issue with this Dallas team is that they turn the ball over. Dak forces so many. I was so angry after his second interception because the first one, I think it was Peyton Hendershot, the rookie tight end. It was right in his hands, and he bobbled it. And the second bobble, he put it up in the air, and it moved away from him, and Kevin Byard intercepted it. Okay, that's not on Dak. It counts to Dak, but that's not Dak's fault. He hit Peyton Hendershot in the hands. The second one was just what? 4 Titans, and you try and fit it in between to Dalton Schultz on a down. Like trying to force something to get a touchdown at the end of the first half makes no sense. Byard intercepts it, runs it 30 yards back. They end up getting a field goal out of it, and it's like 13-6 or something at halftime.
10-6, but yeah.
10-6. Yes. Why did you do that? Why? Made no sense. A lot better in the second half. Wasn't magnificent, but finished 29 for 41, 282 yards, a pair of touchdowns, 2 interceptions, had 11 rush yards. Hidden Dallas running back Malik Davis, 10 carries for 39 yards, had 2 catches for 23 in the air. Zeke, 19 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown. This was a shaky backfield situation. I am the Zeke owner in our league, and I had no choice but to play him. Obviously, Pollard is out. But there were reports coming out that if this game gets as out of hand as it was expected to, Zeke wouldn't play the second half for a good chunk of it. And he ended up playing more in the second half than he did in the first. At least by my counts. He had the last 7 carries for the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken. CD Lamb, 11 for 14, had 100 yards. Dalton Schultz, 7 for 10, 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thank you for winning me money. T.Y. Hilton, 4 for 5, 50 yards. He's picking up his snap percentage with this team, and he should be. He is going to be useful down the line to this Cowboys receiving core. He had big third down catches.
Yeah, what do you make of that? Him versus Gallup?
It's so the way they have it situated right now is the smart way to do it. Leave Lamb, Brown, and Gallup the way they're situated, which is about, CD 80 to 90, Gallup 80 to 90, Noah Brown's 50 to 70, plus or minus a few percentage points in the game. Sometimes he's in the 70, right around 70. Sometimes he's 40 to 50. But if you can keep Hilton at that 30 to 40 range and basically fill in the gap for any one of those guys when they are all said and done. He's outsnapped. James Washington came back 4 weeks ago. Now, week 14. And he has played a total of 15 snaps. The last 2 weeks, T.Y. Hilton has played 34 between those 2 games. He's been more useful to the Cowboys.
Yeah, it seems like he's eating the most into Noah Brown's. Well, and obviously like Washington not playing, but
I wouldn't say that Brown getting 60% of snaps yesterday in this game is indicative of anything. He probably should have. I mean, the other thing is the production. Noah Brown had 4 or 5 targets, only had 1 catch. I think I'm in the ballpark with that.
No,
T.Y. Hilton.
that's correct.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton, 4 for 5 for 50 yards, and he had some, I mean, crucial third downs to move. Not crucial in the sense of the game, but of momentum, which was for the first half of this game. Dallas needed to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to not let up, let up on the gas so much because they eventually would pull away, but you got to give it time. Tennessee, second half. Tennessee wasn't bad either. Dobbs, 20 for 39, 232 yards, a touchdown. Had one interception, which was a bit of a forced pass, but it was a bad pass.
Yeah, some pressure on him.
Yeah, which came in the second half.
I was going to say, it was in the fourth, wasn't it?
Yes, it was when they were right on the brink of really being out of it. Like they were out of it. There was like, I think 5 minutes to go or 4 minutes to go. And they were down by the 2 touchdowns and they were really out of it, but they weren't really out of it. He threw the interception and I was like, okay, here comes Dallas to burn some clock. But the defense from Dallas tuned up in the second half and started to get through. There's another sack, starting to throw, had to throw under pressure. That throw was not only under pressure, he was scrambling, he was on the run.
Mm-hmm.
So, good points to Dallas and this was something I think I said when we talked about it on Wednesday's show, was that at halftime, you're going to be able to change a little bit. Granted, we were talking about Malik Willis at this point because we didn't know until midday Thursday, that Josh Dobbs was going to start instead of Malik Willis. But we said this team isn't going to be able to change and adapt at halftime. They don't have a multi-faceted tool. Dallas will be able to do that on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened. It still happened. It probably didn't happen as bad as it would have had Malik Willis been in. Because again, Dobbs was 20 for 39 is not horrible for someone who has been with the team 8 days.
Right.
Hassan Haskins, 12 carries for 40 yards, 2 catches on 3 targets for 13 yards. Thank you again for winning me money. Who's this Ward person?
Yeah. So Jonathan Ward, he didn't have a lot of carries, 4 for 26, but
who's that Pokemon?
Is he another one that they picked up off the practice squad somewhere?
Good question. I can tell you this, he had 23 yards in the last minute of this game. He rushed exactly. So I don't know what the change in usage was there. It could have just been Haskins not being totally efficient, like not very efficient. I mean, 3.3 is not terrible, but not great. Ward was 6.5 per carry. He was making some good moves. So I just threw his name in here because I'm wondering if next game they use Ward more.
Okay, that's fair. It looks like they maybe should. I don't know. It's Tennessee. They only
exactly.
have. I mean, I'd say next week doesn't matter, but this game actually didn't matter. Next week matters so much.
Yeah.
Treylon Burks, 4 for 8, 66 yards, had a rush for 20 yards. Robert Woods, back from the dead, 5 catches, 9 targets, 39 yards, and a touchdown, which was actually poor defensive communication because I don't know if you saw that play he scored on, but Dallas's defense was not set up at all. And he ends up basically wide open at the 4. Just walked it in. Either way, it's a score. I said on Wednesday's show, I texted you this. I said, dang, my score was really close. I think I said 27-10, and it was 27-13. So Dallas goes to Washington next Sunday in a matchup that will only matter if the Eagles lose. And Tennessee is against Jacksonville next Sunday, and we'll play Jacksonville for the AFC South. Win, and you're in. Anything else you want to bring up from this one?
No, like I said, I just wanted to bring up the Ward stuff. Yeah, it looks like he was signed off the practice squad. I mean, you touched on it with Dobbs, and I don't know how much we talked about this in the actual show on Wednesday, but we definitely talked ourselves that Malik just is not the answer right now and is not the best fit for the Titans. And Dobbs, like you said, only 1 interception. It was under pressure, kind of a forced throw. He actually looked pretty decent and moved the team decently. If not for that interception, they were having an okay drive. Like, yeah, I saw some good things from him, and having only been with the team for 8 days, I think this is the right move for the team to try to make the playoffs or what have you and have a better game next week.
Give him, I mean, it's not Tannehill.
Right.
The thought in my head is that you're going to see one of them start and the other one play a good amount, because that's the last thing Jacksonville will expect. Because at this point, again, if you play for the playoffs, that's all you got, because you're going to end up going in there and playing who? The Chargers. You already lost to them 2 weeks ago.
Right.
3 weeks ago. The Dolphins. I don't want that. I'm trying to think of the other the AFC wildcard teams that'll be there. None of them seem like they're good matchups from any of the options that I can see. So, great stuff. Great stuff. Good Thursday night football game. I won $160 off of betting 8, so I get to pay a bill. Week 17 preview. We're going to preview the important games. Most of these have playoff implications. Actually, I think each and every single one of them do. And then we're going to hit the express lane in section 3. We got about 8 minutes left. So we'll just go through the first game real quick. Buccaneers and Panthers. Bucks 7-8. Panthers 6-9. In Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay favored by 4 points at home. 40.5 is the over/under. This is our first
round 1. Fight.
Host v. host. This is the battle for the NFC South. If somehow it is not locked up this week, it means Carolina won. It means the battle for the NFC South moves on to next week. Because I guess that the Buccaneers win either of these games, which doesn't make sense. Because both teams here will be 7-9, and the Panthers would have swept the series. So I don't know how that works. But they said if the Bucs win either of these last games, they're in. So I don't know. NFL just on Tom Brady's jock for like the 24th year in a row. Game 1 earlier this year, if you remember, the Panthers destroyed the Buccaneers 22-3.
Yeah, or 20-3, something like that.
Yeah, something bad. This is time where Tom steps up. I don't know how to really place this game because of that first one. There's not the same quarterback. That is one thing that is for sure. That was PJ Walker.
Right.
This is now Sam Darnold, who has thrown, this is the first time in his career he has gone 4 games in a row without an interception. Big ups to him. The Buccaneers are not the pass defense they once were, even this year, let alone last year. I like Darnold a little more than I probably feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Carolina's running backs had a huge game last week, set a franchise record, 320 yards on the ground. The team had 570, if I'm not mistaken, which is also a franchise record, 570 total offense. Tampa Bay allows 4.5 yards per carry this week. I don't hate Foreman and Hubbard. One of them is going to be more productive than the other. It almost always works that way. Foreman torched the Buccaneers in that first matchup for 120 plus and a pair of touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Given that Sam Darnold hasn't been throwing it a mile but has been efficient, is it time for his pass attack to step up? DJ Moore is, of course, the wide receiver 1. Terrace Marshall has seen 80 or more % of snaps in his last 3 games. Shi Smith has been somewhere in the 30 to 50 range. Laviska Shenault's been in the 20 to 30 range. They're not the most glorious weapons. It's kind of like, duct tape, bubble gum, and a paper clip, but it's making an engine run. I feel like this is something that you have to look at for. You'll know, I feel like, in the first quarter if this is going to be a close game.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Brady, let's say the Panthers start off with a nice lead in the first half. Brady's known for his second half plays, comeback, so I don't know.
I'm curious to see how their second half points will stand up. I'm actually going to look that up very quickly. Offense by quarter. Close enough. Should we look over the last 3?
Sure.
Last three look good. Tampa Bay, 7.7 points in the second half. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 23rd in the league over the last 3. For the year, they are 24th. So they're not very good in the second half, actually.
Well, I mean,
Well, I shouldn't
relative,
say relative to the field, right?
or even to themselves, like relative to themselves, what are they putting up in the first half?
That's true. That is a valid.
That's more or less what I meant. Like they haven't had a lot of points in general.
Well, that's because if that's going to be the problem. They're probably not going to be crazy far up the list.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's worse, much worse. Yeah, they're 31st. 8 points in the first half. Also 7.7 over their last 3 games, though. So
Oh,
at least they've been consistent their last 3 games.
Yeah.
They look the same on both sides of the half, kind of. Bucks, obviously the Bucks have the most to lose in this one, or so we've been told. But the division is so bad. I don't know. Here's the one thing I know: whoever wins this division plays the Cowboys, and that means whoever wins this game here could probably beat the Cowboys in the divisional playoff. So, because that's how that works. The Cowboys just don't play.
Yeah.
Start Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been without a touchdown for 5 weeks. I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah.
That's not normal, Mike Evans. What?
No, I was just agreeing with how unfortunately bad Mike Evans has been, honestly, the whole season.
Well, you can't even really say the whole season. He's over 1,000 yards still. But
is he really? I didn't think
Yeah.
he was going to get it.
Yeah. He had 90. No, less than that. How many yards did he have last week? 60 some. I think that put him over 1,000. I'm gonna double check that as we go into the next game. But start Russell Gage. He seems to be in the 50 to 60% snap range, especially if Julio Jones is out. I like Brady in this one. He always seems to clutch up. I don't have a good sit here. I don't think there's anything that leads me to believe that there is, a bad play between either of these teams. There isn't really a strong defensive. Oh no, he's 83 yards shy of his 9th straight 1,000-yard season. So he needs 83 yards in the next 2 weeks, which he's still getting.
Yeah, that's relatively doable.
I think that's very doable. I think you're going to see him do it here. Remember, this is the matchup. And the first time these two teams played, Tom Brady missed Mike Evans for a wide open 70-yarder.
That's true.
Or either that, or maybe he threw it right to him and Evans dropped it. I don't remember. I tried to forget because it was very poor. I don't know. This is I'm gonna take the Bucks in this one because I don't bet against Tom Brady in this scenario. I'm gonna take Bucks. I'm gonna take Bucks 23, Panthers 20.
I mean, I flip-flop on this a lot because Brady does perform under pressure, but I'm gonna go with the Panthers. I have the Panthers 23, Bucks 16.
Okay. Panthers 23 to 16. Both got 23s. Good first host to be host. This is time for our first break. As we approach 12:30 in the morning. Oh, it's beautiful. We're going to come back. We are going to jump right into our other 5 games. Hopefully get through all of them in the next section. Express Lane at 5 Fantasy Flyer. It's kind of a standard Friday night show. We're just going to have some fun.
Yeah,
Taylor, would you be the gracious co-host that you are?
We'll see you all on the other side.
Do that thing aloud so much. And it is part 2 of the Fantasy Flyer on a fantastic Friday night. We just ended part 1 about 45 seconds ago. And here we are with part 2, which in the video, when I edit things, will be almost instantaneous. You time traveled. Thank you for watching the Fantasy Flyer. And you didn't even go 88 miles an hour. Shout out Back to the Future. Next game, it is the second of our
Round 2. Fight.
Wait, was that your voice? You timed that perfectly.
No, that was great. Patriots 7-8 versus the Dolphins 8-7. talk about two teams who desperately need things to go their way, and for two separate reasons. I mean, two separate but equal reasons.
I feel like, or I'm hoping that the Pats have built up enough karma over the past couple of weeks.
Man, they need something to go right for them, even if
Yeah.
it's just, if all their bags can get to the hotel before they do, and it's all set up for them. Like that'd be
Right.
something. That's a step in the right direction. This is in New England. Patriots 2.5-point favorites, over under at 41 points, which seems right about what I would expect with Teddy Bridgewater, Mac Jones, two stable offenses that will probably just slowly down the field. Dolphins have a lot on their plate. Let's be honest. They have. We kind of mentioned this on the Wednesday night, Thursday morning show. Tyreek Hill probably still going to be good, nominally good. Jalen Waddle probably, well, he's nominally good, but I don't know if he can still hold. If he can still get 300 yards out of Bridgewater to have 100 apiece to Waddle and Hill. And where are you putting these guys? Like, if you in your top 10, you don't have to list the 10, but where are you putting them this week? Or are you putting them in your top 10?
I mean, for Miami, if I had to, no, I don't think so. But Hill potentially. I mean,
So you take Hill over Waddle.
yeah. Just so let's see. Weeks 5 and 6, Bridgewater started both games, and Hill. I mean, even week 4, I don't remember when Teddy went out, but Bridgewater came in. Hill was perfectly fine those weeks. The week 5 they played the Jets. Good pressure, good defense, and he had 13 fantasy points in PPR. I don't think that's enough to get to top 10, but I think it's still serviceable. I would say that's a decent number 2, at least a flex. So yeah, I'm still playing Hill. Waddle, on the other hand, other than week 6 against Minnesota, who we know has been allowing a lot to wide receivers. He was 5.9 week 4 and 5.3 week 5. Bridgewater seems to target and like Hill more.
It's fair. Good in-depth analysis there too, as well, between the two games.
I was prepared for that one.
Well, that's good. No, that's good. I like Hill. I will still put him in my top 10 this week. I think it'd be silly not to, but here's the reason. Here's my hesitation on putting him far into the top 10. It's hard to contain Tyreek Hill, similar as it is to contain like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. It's a unique talent. Bill Belichick has to know exactly what you just said. That's just they're going to focus on him.
Right.
Make Teddy Bridgewater go somewhere else. Does that help Waddle? In some case, yes. This still isn't much of a 300-yard. And the sad part is, the 300-yard upside, as small as it is, you're probably going to see a little bit more rush, which isn't great. I don't like Dolphins' rush attack in general. They don't rush it enough. And when they do rush it, they're not amazing.
Yeah.
Now you're facing the Patriots, who they're 4th in the league in tackles for loss. They also create a good amount of natural pressure. They have one of the better defensive lines that we've seen over the past 5 weeks. They're 3rd in the league in sacks. Like this isn't easy to walk through if you're Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert, both on the cusp of being fantasy backups for the most
right.
part.
And honestly, it's good that you bring up the running back aspect, because this is a different running back setup than we saw in the weeks that Bridgewater previously played. So I don't know how that affects things. It's a slightly different team, I guess, is the point. So
it has to be.
Right.
I mean, Bridgewater's not Tua.
Yeah.
Just like, God forbid they get to the 3rd string at Skylar Thompson, not Teddy Bridgewater, and not even on the same planet as Tua. So Patriots are likely out if they lose this game. On the Patriots side of the ball, You have to understand that you are dealing with make Mac Jones beat you with his arm. We said it on Wednesday's show. The average, the mediocre for Mac Jones should be the goal. 225 to 250, 2 touchdowns, don't turn the ball over. If it costs you 40, if you're only at 40% completion, as long as you didn't turn the ball over, you have a shot. If you're above that, great, because you're making strides. The great isn't going to come unless you get to average. And he's having a problem sustaining average, not getting there at all, but sustaining. This is a perfect game. If I'm Miami going into this, the first person I'm looking to lock up is Ramondre Stevenson. He played 90% of snaps last week with a healthy, somewhat healthy Damian Harris. The week before, Harris played 11% of snaps. Ramondre is your guy. He's there. The Patriots are all but signaling that Damian Harris ain't coming back. Ramondre is going to be the person. So take him out of the equation. Do it. Make him beat you with the arm, because then you're leveling the playing field in my eyes. Make arm versus arm. You have better wide receivers, if nothing else. I'll take Waddle and Hill over Myers and anyone else. So sorry, just the truth. For Miami, I mean, let's start and sit for this game. Obviously you start Hill. If you have Waddle, you're probably not sitting him you're not comfortable sitting him at all in your fantasy playoffs, which this would be the matchup.
I am.
You're going to sit him?
Yeah, I decided to play Garrett Wilson over him.
Okay, well, that's not a horrible. With Mike White there, I don't hate that, especially versus the Seahawks. So that's okay. That's fair. So unless you have a similar upside pivot, which if you're smart and you've got here, you may have one. That's fine. If you don't, and you have to go with him, it may not be the end of the world. I like Gesicki here. I think do you still have the stats from week 5 and 6?
You want what for Gesicki?
Yeah. I feel like it was Gesicki or Durham Smythe, but I feel like it was Gesicki back then.
So week 6, he did have a very good week. But honestly, everybody had a good week against Minnesota. He had 24.9 points, 2 touchdowns, 69 yards, 7 targets. Weeks 4 and 5, only 4 and 2 targets respectively. And he was about 4 points each week.
Well, week 4, he was outsnapped by Durham Smythe by a healthy amount.
Yeah.
Week 5, it was 50-50. Week 6, Durham Smythe did not play, so that makes sense. Okay, so still, all right. Yeah, I'm still going to take Gesicki on this. I feel like somebody else besides Waddle and Hill is going to have to get involved.
For sure, and we've been saying this, or at least I feel like I've said this a handful of times, that the tight end is the weak spot for the defense on the Pats.
No, that would be it. The only other option there is Trent Sherfield, who has played between 50 and 60% of snaps most of the year. Maybe absolute flyer status there for me. And I think this game on the opposite side, I think I'd sit Stevenson, which is disturbing. But if you're Miami, we've seen New England at times just throw the team on Stevenson's back to move it. And I don't know if you spy on Stevenson and not on the quarterback. I don't know how you would do it in the best way, but I just don't like this matchup for them. They've played him once. It wasn't a great game to begin with for either side, if I remember correctly.
I think Miami was decent. I want to say it was like 20-3.
Oh, that was 20-3, really?
It was the first game of the season, 20-7.
It was week 1.
Miami.
20-7, right? Well, 20 isn't really amazing either. Now I want to look at this real quick. Okay, or it can just not load.
I think, I mean, to your point, Miami should focus on Ramondre. But actually, I don't know exactly what stats you're looking at, but what I have is Damian Harris has sat out the last 4 weeks, and this is the first week he's actually been healthy. Granted, Ramondre Stevenson has been phenomenal, so I don't see why they would really change things. But unless anything changes with his ankle status,
Damian Harris played 4 snaps last week.
oh, okay. I have at least on Sleeper that he didn't have any snap percentage, but maybe I messed something up with the filters. Anyways,
I have 7 snaps on week 15.
huh? Yeah.
I know he played week 15. He was active that week, and I know he did not see the field a lot. Last week is more plausible. Just saying.
Are you looking at Damian Harris or Kevin Harris?
Damian, I just double checked that because I was literally like, wait.
Yeah, I got
Damian.
nothing here, but oh, yep, I did do something. I was looking at no, it didn't change anything. I had projections, but I was looking at his stats.
That's pretty much the same.
No,
You're fine with that one.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't have anything on Sleeper, but anyways.
Oh my God, Ty Montgomery had a touchdown, the only touchdown for the Patriots that game. I'm sorry, I'm looking into week 1.
Oh, I was gonna say that was week 1. He's been out the whole season. What are you looking at?
Definitely not. Yeah, they locked down Ramondre then too. Granted, he split carries with Harris that week
Right.
most of the time. He was 2 catches for 2 yards, had 25 on the ground on 8 carries. Yeah, they'll probably do that again. Actually, Harris was way more effective on the ground. He had 9 carries for 48 yards. It's over 5 a carry versus 3 a carry. That actually. Anyway, to the scores. This is one of those sneaky games where you don't like betting against Bill Belichick, but I have
at
to.
home.
Yeah, I still have to. Actually, here. Well, no, because we know what it is. It's going to be in New England, so it's not going to be that bad. Over under at 41. It's Teddy Bridgewater, man. This makes me feel so uncomfortable to go against the Patriots.
Yeah, and it's not like Teddy's bad by any means.
He's more game manager.
Yeah.
He's game manager. Like he doesn't throw for. That's why I said he doesn't throw for 300 yards much. But Miami has the better wide receivers. I like their defense too, but I also like New England's defense. Damn, now I'm second guessing myself. All right, I'm gonna go back.
Do you want mine?
I'm swapping. No, I'm
right.
just gonna make the decision right now. New England 22. Dolphins 16.
Damn. I guess it would make sense. We're very close. You had New England 16, Dolphins 22?
No, New England 22, Dolphins 16.
Oh, okay.
I switched back.
I have Dolphins 18, New England 23.
Man, I don't feel good about that one at all. But I don't think I'd feel any better going the other way. So, moving on, next game. Let's get that sick feeling out of the pit of my stomach. Seahawks 7-8, Jets 7-8. Oh, hey, guess what? Another game where whoever loses is out. Like clearly out. I think the Jets are out either way. I think the Seahawks are out either way. But moving along. Mike White will be returning, as you mentioned in the 9. Hopefully the defensive pressure does as well. They were not very defensive-y, pressure-y last week. And about as much pressure as a flute. There just wasn't a lot going on there. Strength of each team is patience here, in my opinion. I want Geno to return to be patient. If Lockett will help, assuming he plays. Marquise Goodwin, as you mentioned, is doubtful. Surprise, do you know who is the second highest snap percentage receiver for the Seahawks last week? Receiver, not tight end.
Right.
Can you take a wild guess?
I
Forgotten Viking Laquan Treadwell.
yes.
6
Oh, wow.
86. Heavily, when I found that out, I was heavily added him to my pool of flyers because I was like, oh, damn, there's no Goodwin, right? Somebody's guarded by Sauce Gardner. The other one's guarded by DJ Reed. And that by somebody, I mean either Lockett or Metcalf. And the other is guarded by DJ Reed. It was probably one of the top 3, if not at least 5 cornerbacks combinations in the league. Makes me think about Laquan Treadwell a little bit. But as far as the patience aspect, where I came from and how I got to this point, Geno Smith needs a little bit more patience. He has not been 75% completion percentage Geno Smith that we've seen in at least 2 games. It hasn't been quite as fun. Let's just say that. It hasn't been quite as fun for the Seahawks. He has great eyes. He finds his target. He's a Pro Bowler. He just needs to return to what he was the first 10, 12 weeks of the season in this. The Seahawks are bad versus tight ends and bad versus a lot of running backs, especially pass-catching running backs. Only problem is that the Jets running backs are not good at anything. Zonovan Knight had a spark for like 2 weeks and then fell off the face of the planet. Michael Carter is a shell of what he was last year. Ty Johnson is not used enough and has inconsistent coaching behind him. I don't know, is there someone else I'm forgetting? James Robinson, they wasted a draft pick to trade for, and he is collecting dust. Yeah, don't play him. Don't do that. You have a lot better things to do. Anything that you would want to play out of this running back core will your ceiling for any of them is like an RB3 territory of like 6 to 8 points, maybe 10. If one of them falls into the end zone, 12. That's all I got. I don't like any of these running backs. They're my sit. Don't do it. Tyler Conklin, Noah Fant. We talked about Will Dissly being gone on IR. I imagine Noah Fant will probably have 60 to 70 snap. Colby Parkinson will be involved. Laquan Treadwell, like I said, Conklin versus the Seattle tight end wormhole that is no defense. That's not a horrible play. The Jets are 1.5 point favorites in Seattle, which is an interesting thing. And the over-under is 42. Your guess is as good as mine with this. This comes down to how many turnovers Mike White has versus how much completion percentage Geno Smith has. If the Seahawks keep moving this ball, or if Ken Walker, let's talk about him momentarily, Jets are good. They're a good defense. Ken Walker's had a string of a couple tough defenses here. Did pretty well against the most recent one in Kansas City. You're similar stature here. So if he gets 100 yards, this team and Geno Smith as well, this team should be fine.
So I know that
I agree.
I know that Zonovan Knight has struggled the past couple of weeks, and you mentioned a spark, the spark that is missing. And I feel that spark is Mike White, and I'm hoping that I'm biting because Seattle, as we've seen, is not the best defense aside from against wide receivers. They're ranked at least.
Ruining a perfectly good game of football.
I have 31st here for Seattle against running backs, so I'm biting, and I'm considering Zonovan Knight. But honestly,
so he's fighting and considering, maybe, possibly, potentially at times, looking at the option that there may be a position where he could potentially, maybe, almost take Zonovan Knight.
So I am playing him in one league, but it's not a league that it's our 53 where I'm just fighting for a high draft pick. I'm not playing him.
You're not. It's not even your pick.
Right. Well, I get it. I get it every other round, but the first round, yeah.
I know.
Yeah. But so for me, in the other league, I picked up Algier because I forget who got hurt. But anyways, it was between Knight and Algier, and I'm going Algier just because of the usage he's getting for sure. But if anything were to happen, like Eckler was questionable at some point, I might have to lean on Zonovan.
That is a fair. I'm sorry, I had to write down another name in my pool.
No, that's fine.
I mean, this is probably going to be one of the interesting games on Sunday. Just being honest, I think it should be. I mean, I guess it could not be. If Seattle's defense doesn't step up, if the Jets' offense is bad, there's a couple different ways. I don't see Seattle's defense being that bad where they get blown out because their offense isn't good. But,
No, yeah, I think this should be a back and forth game. I mean, Vegas thinks so too, obviously, and no, I think it'll be, honestly, I think it might be a fun game to watch with Mike White back and hopefully Geno Smith playing better like he was in the beginning of the season.
as long as Zach Wilson isn't involved. Next game, Steelers and Ravens. Not going to go too crazy in depth with this one, especially with Lamar being out, but it is important for both teams for different reasons. Again, Ravens have to continue to make sure they hold I'd say mid seed, try and get towards that fifth or sixth if possible, and not be seventh, because that would mean that you would have to play either the Bengals or the Chiefs, which is problems more than likely. So you kind of want to be fifth. Lamar is out another week. I want to know when Tyler Huntley will be who we thought he was. They were who we thought they were. Well, Tyler Huntley's not. Pittsburgh 28th versus wide receivers allows the depth of pass completion above 8 yards. As we know, wide receivers, line them up, knock them down. Pickett on the other side, close to finding his groove with this offense, starting to look like he can be something close to a leader. Experience is going to help. He has the pieces, though. Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson. Like the average receiver core age is like 24, and he's like not much older. So good, If Huntley throws enough, I like both wide receivers. The only question is if Huntley throws enough. Don't know if he will. Mark Andrews led the team in passing yards. I'm going back to the well. Sure, fine. Make me feel uncomfortable, and also be a liar when it comes to the scores, or whatever it is on Wednesday's show when we do it. Pittsburgh is 8th, 9th versus tight ends. So Demarcus Robinson is the other one who I really like as well, because Demarcus Robinson is playing and Devin Duvernay and Rashad Bateman are not. Sammy Watkins, absolute dart throw. Don't do it, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of Jaylen Warren in this one either. He's more touchdown dependent. Ravens are still very good against the run. Najee Harris, I was mentioning this to Taylor before we got on the air, and here we are. Since the trade of Chase Claypool, the tight ends have seen, between the three of them, Zach Gentry, Cam Hayward, and Pat Freiermuth, mostly the first two, not the latter, but they have seen roughly a 10 to 15% total snap increase between the two. There's been some going to Gunnar Zaleski and other unmentionable wide receivers you can't trust in fantasy. But that just means that there's more running happening and more successful running, as you can see. It's almost like you can pick out when Najee Harris became great again, because his last 6 games, he's been like the RB 11 or 10 or something like that compared to the RB 28. So I don't hate Najee in this one. He's still going to be the bell cow. He should be the bell cow. That's all I really have for this one. I would love to see the Steelers climb to above 500. Also, I just realized that the Ravens are 10-5, and they are sitting in 5th right now. So they just need to continue that pace. I read the wrong record. The Steelers are 7-8.
Oh, yeah.
Tired.
Yeah, I
Great.
didn't catch that. I still can't believe that the Ravens are 10-5. It just does not feel like that, at least the way they've recently been playing, which granted they haven't had Lamar Jackson, and they're hurting wide receiver wise.
There were times with Lamar Jackson they didn't feel 10-5.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much to add in terms of, yeah, you covered most of it.
Superb. Love it.
That's why I'm here.
That's That's what it's good for.
That is a disgusting act.
And next game, it's a hell of a Monday night game. Welcome to 2023. Bengals 11-4 at home versus the Bills 12-3. Buffalo 1.5-point favorites away. Over under at 49.5. Buffalo has a fan base that loves to travel in close proximity. They showed up in droves in the middle of a storm to Detroit twice in a row on Thanksgiving. So that tells you. Most importantly for us, however, this will be the third and final installation
Finish him.
of Host v. Host. Man, what a Monday. This is going to be such a fun game to watch, and I don't know if I'll be able to watch it, which is the sad part. So someone text me or tweet me things, and I'll be very sad at my phone, just looking at my phone, just very sad. That's all I got. What the heck happened? Okay, I'll just let that go. Bengals pass defense and the pass rush has been really pretty good last few games. Good at times. First half versus Patriots last week, really good. Second half versus the Patriots, not very good. Josh Allen has been like Buffalo's leading rusher like half the games this year. So keep that in mind. I like the idea. Buffalo did it to Patrick Mahomes, who doesn't scramble as much as Josh Allen. I like the idea of putting a spy on Josh Allen. If he moves out of the tackle box to either left or right, invade. Is it gonna leave you with some man opportunities? Yeah, it's gonna. That's part of it. But he's been keeping drives alive by just moving second and thirds, second and 4, 3 and 3, 3 and 4, and just crossing the line and earning a new set of downs. I don't know. I don't know how any other way you can actually stop this game. The defense has to, this could be a battle of the defenses for all we know. Diggs, as we mentioned earlier, has been underperforming his last 3 games. Your opinion, is this his opportunity to return to glory?
I feel like he kind of has to. Burrow.
Clutch time. Oh, it's not even really clutch time. They have the AFC East, so that's a lie. He could literally nap the whole game and they wouldn't care.
Yeah. But I mean, Burrow and the Bengals have been playing really well, putting up a good amount of points. So they have to keep up. It's going to be a tit for tat game. And he's got to be a part of it, especially, I mean, I hope Knox plays. That would make this game a lot better. But if Knox is out, that's going to be a huge blow.
I mean, this is a set of wide receivers for both teams that are, I mean, they're destined for good things. If Diggs doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy based on his last 3 games, then in that same logic, you should feel super warm and fuzzy about, and I mean like super warm and fuzzy about Gabriel Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He has been picking it up. Isaiah McKenzie, don't frown. Not frown, upside down frown. He's been doing well as well. Dawson Knox, we just talked about him. If he's in, sure, go to town. Sounds fine. Cincinnati wide receivers, obviously Chase, his ceiling is probably 24 to 26 points here. His floor is probably around 11 to 12. Why not? Higgins, sure. Why not? Tyler Boyd makes me not feel so good about myself, but sure. Mm-hmm. You absolutely have to. I think the first 2 would be, if you're not in that first 2 conversation, you probably have better options. Don't go to Wilcox. Don't go to Hayden Hurst. I don't like Hayden Hurst in this matchup. I agree with your assessment that you put in the notes about Singletary. Doesn't make me warm. Doesn't make me warm at all inside. Kind of makes me feel like, I just had some bad punch. Interesting to see what they do with James Cook too. This is a test game for the Bills as far as they're concerned. Right. They have nothing at stake. They have the AFC East. Like, there could be some serious trial and error with some of these plays, some of these things. And that makes me worried for how this game turns out. It's one of the reasons why it was an easy host v host change or pick, because we don't know how this game is going to go. We don't know at some point if they get down by a touchdown at the beginning of the fourth, they might just say, screw it, let's throw some things out on the field, see if it works. And if it doesn't, well, we didn't lose anything. I think I'm going to go with Cincinnati in this one because they have a lot more to lose.
Ditto.
I mean, they have a playoff berth, but have they locked up the North yet? I think they have to win this one to lock up the North, right?
Yeah, they have not. Yeah, they're still trying to win the division.
Okay. So, and that leaves with the Ravens still playing a very capable Pittsburgh team.
Right.
That leaves us. Where is the link? There it is. Playoff clinching scenarios. I should normally have this up. Oh man, Bengals, AFC North with a win in Baltimore loss or a tie in a Baltimore loss. I don't know why a tie is even a thing in that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go Cincinnati, but I don't know how I feel about the score.
Yeah, I also have Cincinnati. I mean, the Bills, they've clinched the division. They're fine there, but they are still playing for the first place spot. The Chiefs are tied in terms of record, but are in second, I think, simply because of the matchups against each other. So and home field advantage Bills wise. So
That's true. That makes sense. I forgot about that.
So I mean, I can give you my score. I have Bills 26, Bengals 28, and I went back and forth as to whether that was too high. It is.
You're right with
over.
Me. I have Cincinnati 30, Buffalo 23.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, Burrow's been playing well. Chase, Higgins, both healthy. Mixon, P. Ryan. I mean, more so Mixon, but
the one interesting thing is that Lyle Collins, their right tackle, he left with an injury, and I don't remember what the injury was, but I remember thinking to myself, well, he's done until the playoffs or the year, one of the two. Either way, not playing. I don't know how that. I mean, the Buffalo will probably end up moving some pieces, but I imagine that would end up being a target spot for them, knowing that Lyle Collins is a very good right tackle, and replacing him will be a challenge.
Yeah.
But that is a mere prediction, a hypothesis. I don't. At the end of the day, the real person you have to watch out for is Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. Those two pass catching. And there's always the trickster Samaje Perine, who just pops up out of nowhere and it's like a jack in the box. Boop, boop, ooh, it's touchdown. Yeah, that's good. We're going to take our final break here, break number 2. We're going to come back. We're going to go through the express lane and give you 5 fantasy flyers. I have 7 names down. 4 of them make me wish I had food poisoning. So this will be great. This will be loads of fun. You should definitely stay tuned. Taylor, if you don't have names, hopefully you create some that don't make you feel like you have hepatitis, like I kind of feel like I do. So, yeah, we're going to come back. Taylor, do that thing I like so much.
We'll see you on the flip.
Welcome back. It's part 3, Fantasy Flyer. Taylor took a drink of water, which he couldn't have done over the break at all. I want you now as your punishment to take a drink of water, but you have to in the middle of drinking water. So when it goes all down the front, that's on camera.
And we're it's going to go all over the computer, and then
every
recording is just going to go down.
Every single video intro. Every single video intro. Hey, I have a new laptop now. I can record. So no, do it right now. No.
It's just going to sound like me gurgling water.
Yeah, that's all it's going to be. There, you sound like a fish. One of the fish over my shoulder jumped, which is weird because they don't do that. They're goldfish. We're going to move on to the express lane. Animals be damned. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of games. There's a lot of games in the Express Lane. Some of them actually do have playoff implications, but we're not going to delve crazy into them. So, just an FYI. We'll start off with the 49ers and the Raiders. This has no implications on anything. The Raiders do not seem interesting at all. I don't like them. This game should be a blowout. I know San Francisco is only 9.5-point favorites, over under 42.5. It's in Las Vegas. I don't know quite why. I mean, you probably didn't sit Derek Carr and look at the schedule at the same time and be like, oh, we'll wait till week 18. So, in fairness, this would have been at least halfway decent matchup had Derek Carr played, but Derek Carr is just going home, taking his ball and going home. Now, keep an eye on anyone who is ruled out healthy scratches: Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, people who would normally be fantasy viable and just don't feel like dealing with Jason Statham.
Jarrett.
Jason Statham.
Yes. This is going to be Electric Boogaloo 23. No, wait, what is it?
I don't know. You tell me. That was a whole bunch of nothing right there. That was literally one of the worst. I don't even know what that was.
Jason Statham
Who
movie.
are you calling a cootie queen, you lint liquor?
There you go. That's what you get, because I don't know what you just said to me. It was one of.
That's terrible.
Yeah, the 49ers are better. Don't overthink this. If you have somebody on the Raiders and they do sit out, be prepared for that to happen. If they don't, they might end up having a fantasy point total that would make you wish they just sat out. I'm like, start the normal names for the 49ers. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. There is a chance this game gets out of hand enough where you see Jordan Mason come in and play. Is Jordan Mason healthy? That's the other thing. I noticed that Ty Davis Price played last week.
Yeah, so last week it was an issue. This week he was not on the report. I will triple check.
Okay, that makes me like, because Mason, I think, has overtaken him on the depth chart as well. So that would make me like Jordan Mason. He plays when McCaffrey is very active, and if this game is like 28-2, they'll probably play even more. So, absolute dart throw. I am not going to put him in my 5 fantasy flyers. Spoiler alert. But if you have the handcuff to somebody, that's perfectly fine. Well, that'd be the one I'd want anyway. Next game.
He is not on the injury report.
Perfect. That makes me feel a lot better. Rams 5-10 at the Chargers 9-6. Chargers 6.5-point favorites at home. Over under 42. Are the Chargers really at home? Los Angeles Rams, Los Angeles.
Yes, they
Chargers.
are.
No, but are they really at home?
Oh, right.
The Rams had to travel all the way across the locker room. It was a long flight, expensive. Despite the explosion against the Broncos, I don't trust this Rams team. Baker is still Baker. The Chargers defense is still not whole entirely. I believe there is a returning. Is it Joey Bosa?
Mm-hmm.
I believe they have activated him. I don't know if he will play this week or if it will be next week, but it will be his first game since September. That takes his defense another crank up. So
it's funny you say that. That's the movie I was thinking of with Jason Statham. Yes.
Crank
2 was like High Voltage or something. And I could think it was Electric Boogaloo. Anyways.
All right. That's great. And I'm the one who's had a long day.
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
The one thing I can tell you about this Rams team is, as much as I don't trust anything in the passing game, Cam Akers is your RB2 since week 12. The Chargers are 30th against the run. That's a good combination for me. I like Cam Akers. He is probably my flex, like my first flex, my first waiver wire option if I need a running back. Good, yeah. Yep. Sure. There's nothing else really to say about it. Jalen Ramsey will probably be on Keenan Allen. That is my only justification for putting Keenan Allen as a sit. I don't think that's a good reason to actually sit him. I think Mike Williams would not beat up physically, literally, but he's a tougher wide receiver than Jalen Ramsey would. I think Ramsey's going to end up being on Allen. I would imagine there will be some missed catches at some point there.
Especially with the amount of targets he gets.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like a 50% completion Keenan Allen's way. Doesn't mean he can't catch a touchdown. Just be wary of it. I'll take the Chargers in that one. I don't think that's a surprise. But I think Cam Akers has, I'm going to say 80 on the ground. I'm going to say 80 on the ground, 20 in the air, and a touchdown in each. I'm going to go out on a limb. That's a thin limb too. Because he could also have 6 yards and never play. Next game, Jaguars 7-8 at the Texans 2-12-1. Neither of these. This game doesn't matter for either of these teams. I don't know if we know that. The Jacksonville's game is next week where it matters. Houston games haven't mattered for them since week 11. They're just trying to win some pride back, and I think they've succeeded. Let's be fair. This is a good test for Houston's defense. They've been better. We know that. More against the pass than the rush, but even the rush has taken a little bit of a step forward. Jacksonville likes to pass it, however. So, yeah, this is really interesting. Houston, I want to see Houston really lock down on Christian Kirk. Jalen Petrie, probably. Talking to you, looking at you. That's you. Evan Ingram, I like him. Travis Etienne, I like him. Houston's offense does not thrill me. I'm not playing any of them. DFS, if I had to pick one, Royce Freeman. An interesting play for sure. That would be like the DFS. And if I'm building that lineup under what will probably be a 4,500 or 4,800 Royce Freeman, I'm probably putting 3 stud wide receivers in that lineup somewhere and a good quarterback. So next game, I think I'll still take the Jaguars in that game though, even in Houston. Yeah. Over under at 43 is interesting with a 3-point Jacksonville spread though. It'd be 24-18, 25-19, 25-18, something like that. Next game, Browns 6-9 at the Commanders 7-7-1. Browns officially eliminated. So Deshaun Watson, thank you for playing. Come back again next year. The Commanders, however, still have a lot to play for. They are going to be probably pretty feisty. Chase Young, is he back yet, or is he still at the diner eating soup?
Yes, he played last week.
He did. Okay.
Yeah.
I stopped paying attention after the 3rd week he was active and didn't play.
They had said he was going to be in a limited capacity last week. I didn't actually look into how limited it was, but yeah, he played last week and he should.
He only finished half his soup.
Yeah, he should be playing again this week.
It's good. All right. I mean, that's also another reason why my sit is who my sit is, although I didn't know it when I made that sit. So we'll talk about that momentarily. This could be a close matchup of any, I don't know. Washington, the issue here is Washington is going back to a new quarterback. That's the best way I can put this. Carson Wentz will be starting. Taylor Heineke, for some reason, lost the job. I mean, I guess that's not really some reason. There's a reason. But Washington has a playoff spot on the line. Browns are looking to play party pooper. I don't like the wide receivers as much with Wentz as I do with Heineke yet. Dotson was okay. Samuel was okay. McLaurin was good for the part that Heineke was in. We know Heineke likes McLaurin. He warmed up to Samuel and then to Dotson. Wentz has probably figured out all 3 as well. You can allow a lot of runs. Not baseball. Nope. Derek's got to go to bed. You can allow a lot of points. Oh, God. Man, that was just really bad.
That's wrong. That's wrong. You're not doing good so far.
So the Browns were like, last check, they were like 30th against running back points, fantasy points. Am I wrong on saying that? I'm going to check real quick. Yeah, they're 30th. 20.4 to the running back. There's no Antonio Gibson. My start is Brian Robinson. Don't overthink that one. I don't like Mr. Chubb in this game. Nick Chubb. And I don't like that in the sense that first off, he's after starting off really hot, he only has like 1,100 yards this year. He had like 700 yards in his first 6 games. And here we are going into week 17, and he is like not done. Washington's only allowed 10 rushing touchdowns all year to the running backs. Chase Young now is active and is one hell of a defensive lineman. It's going to free up a little bit of movement for that line. The other thing is that then you pointed this one out, Taylor, when we were talking pre-show. Deshaun Watson has come back and effectively ruined what was the momentum Nick Chubb had. Nick Chubb was vital when Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback. They needed a new weapon besides Amari Cooper and at times David Njoku. And now Deshaun Watson is back, and Watson himself can run it.
Right.
Not quite as effectively. He's not Nick Chubb, let's be honest. But it's the same thing we just talked about in Tennessee when you have a running back and a running quarterback. Sometimes you can predict. Well, when you only have one running back and a quarterback that throws, at least you're on 3 different wavelengths. Now you're crossing paths again. It seems a little odd that Nick Chubb has struggled because it goes back before the switch to Deshaun Watson, let's be fair. But he has not been as effective, and I'm cautious of this game again. I'm going to take Commanders in this. Also, I think it's absolutely horribly ironic that Deshaun Watson comes back and the Browns' record is now 6-9.
This is so cool.
Someone else who has a 6-9 record is the Saints. How? No one knows. The Deshaun Watson Cleveland Browns have the same record as the Andy Dalton-led New Orleans Saints. Football.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, that's a not top 10. Both of them not top 10, literally. Saints going to Philadelphia to take on a for sure top 10 in the Eagles. Even with Gardner Minshew. Minshew mania is back. They did a very good job against Dallas, just couldn't quite pull off the win. Minshew will have yet another week of practice with this squad. We saw Jalen Hurts had returned to practice, but he is doubtful. I think that's smart. Again, what are you? No?
Yeah.
Philadelphia 5.5-point favorites at home, which seems low given what we just saw. The over-under is 41.5. Also seems low from what we just saw. The Eagles just scored 34 points by themselves against the Cowboys. The Saints aren't good, and the Eagles are. I don't know what else you can really talk about. I like Goddard in this one. To be fair, I like everybody in the Eagles. I think like the most shaky one to me is Miles Sanders, and I'll still give him like a 70% thumbs up.
Yeah.
I don't like Andy Dalton. For those of you who haven't been up to date on these sack numbers, Dallas is not the first in sacks anymore. They're second. They have 51. However, the Eagles are first at 61, which is now a full 20% more, almost 20% more. So Andy Dalton, best of luck. Taysom Hill may be a very good gadget play here. I don't hate the Taysom Hill swap. A DFS as well.
Mm-hmm.
You may see multiple facets to a Taysom Hill game because the Eagles are going to prepare for Andy Dalton. You can only prepare so much for Taysom Hill when he can kind of come in and do everything. So, next game, Colts and Giants. Colts 4-10-1 in New York to take on the New York Football Giants. 8-6-1. Giants 5.5-point favorites. Over under 39. Foles starting again. It doesn't bode well for the Colts against a decent Giants defense. Decent should be good, but decent it is. Giants kind of like to blitz. I believe they're number 1 in the league in blitz percentage.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, they blitz a lot. However, the Colts, as we were talking about this before, the Colts actually, you'd be surprised how well their defense is. Man,
Right.
if they only had Shaq Leonard for more than 3 games this year. They are 6th in tackles for loss. They are 5th in sacks. That was it. I had to get the numbers right. 5th in sacks, 6th in tackles for loss. They apply a good amount of pressure. They also sometimes blitz. The only problem here is you still have Nick Foles running this offense, which is a full tank attempt. And I'm talking like a Panzer tank. Like, they keep going. Might as well, right? Giants should win this game. I don't think. Like, I think if this game's close, they put in Sam Ellinger in the field with a blindfold. That's probably
Yeah.
the best. That's probably the best thing that the Colts can do. They're currently 5th in the draft order where they stand. They should do everything in their power to get to a top 3 and look for Will Levis or CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or whoever falls to them. Because Matt Ryan is not the answer. Sam Ellinger is not the answer. Nick Foles has never been the answer. And for those of you who are taking that switch to Nick Foles super seriously, I pray that you find some solitude in your life and some peace in what you think you know about football. Start Barkley. I like Jelani Woods. Again, if there's anybody that Nick Foles has a connection with, it's his tight ends. Jelani Woods led the team in receiving yards last year. Receiving yards, also not a word. But if he does it again.
And
I would
not
know.
last year, you mean last week?
Nope, I meant last year too. When Jelani Woods wasn't in the league.
Yeah.
So you don't know what I'm talking about, right? So just stop it. You think you know? You don't. Yeah, you're 100%. It's last week. I don't have a good sit from this game. I'm wary of the wide receivers. The Titans are 7th versus wide receivers. They only allowed 18 points to the position.
The Colts are 7th against wide receivers.
Jesus Christ, he's right.
And yes, I was in the same boat. Giants wide receivers.
Giants wide receivers.
Somebody's gonna have an okay game, maybe a couple of them, but
I'm not going to have an
excited
okay time
about-
talking.
yeah.
Yeah, Colts are 7th versus wide receivers. Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, who's been on a tear, Richie James, who's been right behind him. One of them's going to have a good game, maybe even 2 of them. The other one is probably not. Daniel Bellinger is still somewhat under-involved in this offense compared to what he probably should be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Interesting curveball there. I'm not technically sitting any of them, in my opinion. Just don't feel super surprised if they don't come home with the numbers you like. Next game, Broncos at the Chiefs. Man, do we still have to talk about the Broncos? Do we still? Is that a thing? Did they take them out of are they out of the league yet?
Yeah, really.
No.
Talking about expansion teams.
240. That much? Really? But I have the same, and I'm here doing this. Okay. All right. Apparently, I don't have the same faith or the same girlfriend who was once related to Future. So I don't get $240 million. It's the only thing I need. I have the Chiefs winning this game by 8, which is probably nice because they are currently 12.5 point favorites and the over-under is 45. So I got the Chiefs by 8 in this one. Don't know how that score is going to last, but Patrick Mahomes is good. Russell Wilson should be better than he is. We'll find out. This is going to be an interesting experiment, however, because now there's no Nathaniel Hackett. We know we have a new coach. There's new things happening in Denver. Ooh, shiny, new toys. But the offensive system, it's got to change somewhat, right? You have to be doing something different. The playbook will be, there's going to be some corners of that playbook that are probably dusted off and haven't been touched since week 2, 4, 6, whatever. So, Jerry Jeudy has a great record versus Kansas City. If he plays, let him go. He had 3 touchdowns in his first game against Kansas City. I'm not going to stay away from him. If he does not go, Dulcich is on IR. Obviously, Sutton becomes a must play. After that, do you like anybody?
Not particularly.
Good. All right. Me neither.
Kendall Hinton, also questionable. Yeah, I don't even want to name off any of the other people from a wide receiving perspective. And then, yeah, the tight ends. I guess Aguimenon, but he's actually not been as involved as some of the other guys, which Andrew Beck.
He got phased out so hard when Dulcich was playing. He got phased out real hard. Like Saubert. Actually, Saubert might be like, helicopter height dart throw.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't make me feel warm at all. But somebody's got to catch the ball. It can't just be Sutton. That is too easy for the
exactly
Chiefs defense,
for this
which
game
has
to
been
be
stepping up.
at all interesting, you got to hope that Judy plays. Otherwise, you're looking at Sutton, Murray, Edmonds, Mack. Like, I just named off 3 running backs as what they can use from the Denver side. Also, they signed Tyler Beatty. I don't know.
Who is that?
A rookie running back that I don't know why they signed him to the active roster and not just on the practice squad.
Because each player
'cause
has
he was-
3.
Yeah,
was gonna
but
say
he
each
was
player
on the
has
Ravens
3.
practice squad, so they pulled him off of that and signed him to the active roster. But they have Edmonds, Mack, Murray. I don't know. Anyways,
Oh my God, who the hell
exactly.
cares?
I have McKinnon as a sit this week.
Yeah.
This is gonna. Somebody's gonna read this and go, "You're an idiot," and I may be. I'm okay with that. Been very good, right? Mostly good. Last week was bailed out by a touchdown. Defenses, I think, are starting to know when you see Jerick McKinnon, some trickery's afoot. There's some witchery coming, because he's really good. Somehow, out of nowhere. I don't. For some reason, if the Broncos defense, which again should have a little bit of a pep in their step with things changing, I'm suspicious of McKinnon's output here. I'm equally as suspicious of Pacheco, but he hasn't been a 30-point guy at all this season, whereas McKinnon has. I feel like McKinnon, I feel like 10 or 11 fantasy points will be a great game for him here. And that may or may not include a touchdown. Not a huge fan of playing Kadarius Toney this week. If McCole Hardman plays, be very, very wary.
He's out.
He's out? Okay. Definitely don't play him. MVS, Juju, Kelsey, lock and load. What is your problem? Are you okay? The cats are on drugs. It's sorry. It's the healthy drugs that cats get.
A witching hour.
No, it's not that at all. It's whatever. What's that? I don't even know the name of it. It's like the weed for cats.
The catnip?
Catnip, thank you. Yeah, that's that good. Anyway, next game, Bears 3-12 at the Lions 7-8. Again, Lions trying to hold on to a playoff spot somehow, some way from the thinnest of I don't know, floss maybe. I don't know. Detroit 6-point favorites, over under at 52.5, which I believe is the largest on the slate.
I think so.
In Detroit. Start Komet. Start just about every wide receiver. No, not every wide receiver. That's a lie. You can't start N'Keal Harry. Byron Pringle was not amazing last week, but did fine. Velus Jones, okay, finally getting re-involved. Komet's probably the most trustworthy. My sit, and it comes with a question mark, is Khalil Herbert. He had 20% snap last week, which is right about where we thought he'd be. Let me double check my stats now because I feel like I looked at the wrong number.
He had 41.
I was looking at the wrong number. Absolutely was. Thanks. 41% to 67. So he actually came back in and had really high. It was a high amount.
Yeah, didn't do.
In any other game, Montgomery. No, he didn't. He was there basically getting reps in just to run, but
yeah,
that's a lot more than I thought. Well, when I was 20. Anyway, I don't. Well, maybe the question mark is like a double question mark now because he could actually do something here, which is perfectly fine, and he may. So I don't have a great sit. Herbert, sure, I guess. Montgomery, all right. Next game, Cardinals 4-11 at the Falcons 5-10. Atlanta 5.5-point favorites, over under 41. It's Desmond Ridder versus David Blau. It's a diaper rash in the form of a football game. Tyler Algier is a good start. I'm not a fan of DeAndre Hopkins because I have no idea what David Blau can do if passing is even a thing for him. I'm sure it probably is, but most likely it's going to end up being like Greg Dortch with 46 catches and DeAndre Hopkins like 1 for 18 again. And Again, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the injury report like tomorrow, so he can sit on Sunday. Like, give me my money. I'm going home. Last game, Vikings 12-3 at the Packers 7-8. Green Bay 3-point favorites at home, over under 47.5. I mean, Vikings have they'll kick the Packers out if they win, so they're playing for something. Packers not very good against the run, 23rd, 25th, somewhere in the ballpark. I like Dalvin Cook in this matchup. I think you did too as well. You put Thielen as a sit. Sure.
Yeah.
5
Somebody.
targets last week and only had 1 catch. That was also because Hawkinson and Jefferson both shared 16 targets apiece. You can probably lock and load Dobbs, and if Watson plays, Watson. Those two are interesting as well, considering the Vikings are bad versus wide receivers, especially at depth. Anything over 20 yards, and they are like a 35% completion or something disgusting. I'll take Vikings in that one. I know it says Green Bay by 3 at home. Their defense hasn't been all that consistently amazing. They have good sparks. Rodgers has looked better. The Vikings, however, are just more powered. I don't know. I'm going to take the Vikings on the upset on that one.
I agree.
Okay, that's good. Glad we got that out of the way. That's it for the games. Those are all the games.
We did it.
So yeah, that was a big turn. Last part of the show. It's the usual way we end our shows. It's the 5 fantasy flyers. Geez, this is. I feel like I'm walking on a blister every time I look at these names. Makes my teeth itch. You want to go first?
Sure. I have Zonovan Knight. This one I'm probably gonna shoot myself in the foot about, but I have AJ Dillon. Simply on the fact that Aaron Jones has been sort of battling an injury. So I'm hoping that plays into Dillon getting some good work. This one may also, I went with Drake London simply because I want a piece of that game sort of from a flyer perspective, and Algier I ruled out as a flyer, and London I should have went with last week and I didn't, so gonna try it again. I'm hoping Hunter Henry is healthy and plays. I have him, and then feel free to nix this, but I have Cole Kmet. I feel like he may not qualify as a flyer. He's been sort of up and down lately, which is why I threw him in there.
I'll allow it because here's the reason, given the tight end flex we've had since like midseason. So I'm going to do it like in my scope of things. I don't know the number of his ownership, so I can't go off that. But seeing the rise of what was Dulcich until this week, the rise of Evan Ingram until this week, obviously Mark Andrews has been down. Cole Kmet has gone up in that same time frame. But I feel like he hasn't been the most talked about, reliable, or in that case, picked up option.
Mm-hmm.
So, given the tight ends and where they rank, I'll Hawkinson obviously is still there. George Kittle has been perfectly fine. You know about Kelsey.
Yeah, I mean he's basically been under 5 points the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm definitely much more flyer than you.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I got that impression.
Yeah. Imagine that, wouldn't you? What the hell? Okay. Man, I'm probably gonna hate the name that I'm crossing off right now, but sure. All right, so my first one. Gonna hate myself for this one. Royce Freeman. God, I hate that. I just said that name. Number 2, Noah Fant. Same concept. Probably fell off a lot of lists. He was probably one of the ones that was dropped when there was 50-50 going on as Dulcich and Ingram started to take off. So, number 3, kind of similar to your AJ Dillon stance, DeAndre Swift. The Bears are horrible versus the run. Swift played 56% of snaps last week. Okay, I'll take a gamble on him. Number 4, Tyquan Thornton. No Devontae Parker last week. Tyquan Thornton played 94% of snaps. Miami, throw it against them. Do it again. Do it again. Do it right now. Right now. Number 5, Corey Davis came back. Only 3 wide receivers saw the field last week. They were Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. 97% for the latter two. Or no, excuse me, Davis and Wilson, not the latter two. Elijah Moore, 81%. The other two, 97.
Okay.
So I'm going
Davis
Corey
did take the number 2. Okay.
Yeah, well, they're both at 97. Wilson and Davis did. So, some solid names there. Honestly, out of the 10 we've listed, the one I feel most comfortable about is AJ Dillon. The only way he really doesn't play a lot, or probably even score a touchdown, is if the Vikings just make Green Bay throw it forever, and that just probably isn't going to happen. So, I like that one. Drake London, not a bad pick at all. Hunter Henry, bit of a gamble, but we also know what, like you said, that the Patriots were bad versus tight ends. Miami is not good against them either,
No.
like at all.
Aren't they like
Dolphins
31st.
30th.
30th.
Patriots are 21st. So, Cole Kmet, sure, why not? Anything against the Lions is good. So, another good set of fantasy flyers. Maybe this week you can catch up a little bit to me. I'm currently leading 218 to 189. So, just to throw that out there that you're allowed to have some of the better picks because
I don't know. That DeAndre Swift one makes me nervous, but
well, that's like the best one that I have. It's not like the greatest either. I don't know. That's gonna wrap it up for episode 33. We will be back next Wednesday night. It's the last week of 2-week. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's the last official 2-show week. After that, we're gonna hit and miss a little bit, so the schedule will be a little bit off. But Wednesday we will be doing fun things. I don't know. Reviewing.
hopefully I'll
obviously.
be celebrating a championship. Best of luck to everybody in their finals.
I will not be celebrating a championship. I'm 1,000% positive of that. Yeah, it'll just be loads of fun. Best of luck for all of those in your fantasy championship games. If you need any prayers, you get them from me. Hopefully, it's a good matchup. It's juicy, and it comes down to the wire on Monday Night Football. That's the best we can hope for. Anything else from you, Taylor?
No.
It's time.
That's not what I wanted. I had to hit the wrong button. Didn't hit the right button. Let's do the right button now. Listen to some Bob Barker. Best of luck. Watch some football. And Happy New Year's as well.
Yes.
That's
Enjoy
also
the new
a thing
year.
that happens. Yeah. Hopefully 2022 gives you what gave you great boss. Hopefully 2023 gives you much better fortunes. I'll figure it out. Have a good night, guys.
Bob Barker reminding you, help
Peace out, y'all.
control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.